Welcome. Today we're going to be looking at the key to weather map symbols, specifically focusing on the station model portion of this chart found in your Earth Science reference table. The station model explanation gives us a tremendous amount of free information. Not only does it tell us what information sits where on the station model, but it also gives us the units and a lot of important information about some of the rules when using this information. So we're just going to start and move in a counterclockwise direction. Temperature always sits at the top left-hand corner. It's always given in degrees Fahrenheit. If you're ever given a temperature in degrees Celsius, you'll need to take a moment to convert it in your Earth Science reference table using the temperature chart. Visibility always sits on the left-hand side in the middle. It's given in miles, and you'll notice right next to it sits the present weather symbol. We're going to look at the present weather symbols with the station model in just a moment. Dew point temperature is given in degrees Fahrenheit, always sits in the bottom left-hand corner. Wind speed you'll notice kind of attaches right here to this information, where you've got the stick showing me the direction that the winds are coming from, and you've got the feathers. One long feather equals 10 knots of speed, and one short feather equals 5 knots. You literally just count up the feathers and add up the knots. Next, top right-hand corner, we've got barometric pressure, always given in millibars, and we'll talk about the 500 rule. The 500 rule states, excuse me, 500 rule states, if the barometric pressure, the three numbers that sit right here, if that value is above 500, you're going to add a 9 in front of the number. If that number is below 500, you will place a 10 in front of the number. There's always going to be a decimal. Once you've converted the number, you'll always place the decimal between the last two digits. So let's take this 196, for example. They're giving me 196 on the station model. This number is definitely below 500. According to my rule, below 500, add a 10. I am literally going to place a 10 in front of it. There's no addition, no calculations needed. And then my decimal will sit between the last two digits. So what looked like 196 on the station model actually translates to 1019.6 millibars when you're applying your 500 rule. Remember, it's important to keep in mind that the barometric pressure that sits on the station model can only be represented by 3 digits. So if you're given a fully converted number, you need to strip it down to those 3 digits by removing the decimal and either the 9 or the 10 that sits in front. Barometric trend sits right here. This tells us what the air pressure has done over the last 3 hours. That's very specific. Precipitation sits in the bottom right-hand corner, and it tells us how much precipitation has accumulated, whether it's snow or rain or sleet, in the last 6 hours. All right? You'll also notice a free tidbit of info here. 1 knot in wind speed is equal to 1.15 miles per hour. If you're ever asked to do a conversion, you could do it there. And the last piece of information given to us on the reference table for station models is the amount of cloud cover. The amount of cloud cover refers to the percentage of the circle colored in. It's basically as if you walked outside and estimated the percent of the sky above you, how much of that was covered in cloud cover. It usually works in increments of either 0%, 100%, where the circle would be fully shaded, or your 25, 50, 75%. You'll never get into 38.2% and trying to, shade in different parts of the circle. They keep it pretty straightforward. Let's look at a couple of sample questions using the station model information they're giving us for free. First, what are the dew point and wind direction shown on the station model below? Dew point temperature and wind direction. So let's see, I need 2 variables. Dew point and wind direction. I go back to my reference table to use it as a guide. I'm going to take a moment to clean it up, leaving the 500 rule visible in case we need it. They want the dew point temperature. Let's see, dew point temperature sits right here, bottom left-hand corner. And the wind direction. Let's see, wind direction is referring to the stick and the direction it's coming from. Remember, winds are always named based on where they originate from. So let's see, dew point bottom left-hand corner, wind direction is the direction of the stick. So bottom left-hand corner, 72, which means I can get rid of choices C and D because they're referring to air temp, not dew point. And wind direction from the, let's see, wind direction is coming from the southeast. So it looks like choice 2 would be the way to go. Remember, the information is always found in the reference table for free. You just need to take a moment to really look closely and find what they want you to find. Next question. Weather data is normally recorded at positions A, B, C, and D on the weather station model below. At which position would the measurements from a rain gauge be recorded? Let's see, a rain gauge is an instrument that measures the amount of rain that has fallen or accumulated. So I'm thinking rain gauge, amount of water that's fallen over a certain period of time. When I go back to my ESRT, remember, bottom right-hand corner sits the amount of precipitation that's accumulated over the last 3 hours. So when I go back to my question, I'm looking for whatever value might be sitting in the bottom right-hand corner. Choice D, way to go. Excellent, excellent. Looking at our next sample question. A weather station model is shown below. What is the barometric pressure indicated by this station model? So you'll notice on the top right-hand corner, it's the only variable they're identifying for us. They've given us 029. I need to take that off of the station model and apply my 500 rule. Let me look back at my reference table. The 500 rule states above 500 add a 9, below 500 add a 10, and we know the decimal is always inserted between the last 2 digits. So 029 is definitely below 500. I'm going to place a 10 in front, stick the decimal in between the last 2 digits, and suddenly my air pressure becomes 1002.9. And you'll notice when you look at the choices, it gets a little confusing. You need to take a moment. 1002.9, choice C. Way to go. Last sample question. What is the visibility in miles shown on the station model below? And there's a whole bunch of information there. I can't remember which one is visibility. Let me go back to my trusty reference table. We'll clean this up a little bit. Where do I see the word visibility? Ah, right here. Visibility sits on the left-hand side of the station model in the middle, and it's given in miles. So when I look at my choices here, left-hand side in the middle, looks to me like the visibility is 10 miles, choice A. I hope that you have found this a helpful review when looking at your station model questions using your Earth Science reference table. Thank you.